What gives you energy? What makes you smile? What do you think, oh wow, that was a really great moment in my day or my week? Then how can I think about some of those things that I really enjoy to then actually go and find some type of career or job that enables me still to use some of those skills?
We're all good at something, right? Whether it's numbers, whether it's art, whether it's being creative, whether it's problem solving, you just need to find your thing.
Hi, I'm Adam Grant. I'm General Manager for Mars Wrigley in the UK, and across our Mars snacking, food, pet care and veterinary business, we employ nearly 10,000 associates. This is my Duvet flip.
How do you figure out your purpose? Where do you start? What do you do?
It's what gives you energy, what gives you that fire, that drive, that hunger that makes you think, wow, that just felt incredible.
Well, if I'm coming into the organisation and I'm committed, I'm curious, what are you looking for?
What is the difference that you're making? It's really important, whatever job you're in, you've got something you're being famous for.
What was one of the things that you're famous for? My final question is, what's your duvet flip? What gets you out of the bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
Danny is an all-time mother lover. She once thought school pickups were a kind of truck. Now, she understands if people need to leave early. Join the mother lovers. Maltesers. Let's lighten the load for working mums.
Adam, welcome to my duvet flip. How are we?
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me. Really excited about our conversation.
I know we've had this booked in for a little while. I've been so excited, and I'm a massive fan of your chocolate. So we'll get into that.
Good to hear. I'll be asking you later what your favourite is. So,
cool.
You know.
I can't wait to tell you. Tell me a little bit about where it all started. This shoe shop. You worked in a shoe shop. Was that your first job?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was just trying to earn some money. I was probably 16, 17 years old. I was living in Bournemouth with my family and just wanted to earn a bit of extra cash. And so I got a job working in a shoe shop. And I spent my Saturdays with a couple of friends in the shop, having a bit of fun. And not the most pleasant perhaps place to begin your career, from a smelly feet, but kind of a really great way to kind of earn your first pound.
But what did you learn on that job that's kind of stuck with you along the way?
Yeah, I guess for me it comes to a bit of sense of responsibility, about being responsible to turn up at a certain moment to start your job, a certain standard of expectations are expected of you in any job that you do.
How does one showcase their sense of responsibility in an interview? What would be your advice to a young person who may have an interview tomorrow, the next day, and they want to get across that they've got a sense of responsibility because they've done some work in a shoe shop? Yeah. How do they say it? What do they say?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably, so young people, is to reflect upon, okay, well, what is it you've been doing over the past years where you've actually taken some ownership of something, or you've had to lead something, or you've had to help somebody with something. And it may not even be a job that you're doing and you're paid to do in wherever moment it is, but it could be maybe a team you've been part of, or it could be a club or a society or a youth group that you're involved in, or a theatre group or a football team, or it could be anything. And so I think it's really reflecting, okay, give a great example, is that I was really be able to help that team or that group of people or that community because I did X and Y, and actually I took that upon me to do. I didn't wait for someone else. I kind of stepped up. And I think that kind of sense of stepping up is probably a lovely way. I'd love to hear people talking about, wow, I showed responsibility, I owned it, and I lent into it, and and I made a difference. This is what happened. This is what it felt like. It's probably quite a nice way to hear that. So an interesting fact about me, I can still remember actually to this day, my first time I had a Mars bar. I was 7 years old. I was standing on the terraces at Bournemouth, and when they're in the days of in the second division with my dad, and we had a Mars bar at half-time. Little will I know that all these years later, Bournemouth would be in the Premier League, and I'd be running that Mars business in the UK.
What happened next after working in on the Saturday in the shoe shop? Where did life take you? What did you do next?
Yeah, so I went to university. I was in Birmingham at university, and frankly at that stage I had no idea what I wanted to do career-wise. And then someone happened to be advertising a summer job opportunity at Unilever. They make floral margarine and tea and washing powder, and actually I ended up applying for that, and to my amazement I actually got the job, and I spent that summer working in Vandenberg Foods, owned floral margarines, part of Unilever. I moved to Brighton, living down in Brighton for the summer. Carried on until having a great time in Brighton, but also a great time actually learning, okay, what is this world of work? And actually, what do I enjoy? did some analysis on one of their competitors to their brands and stuff. And I thought, actually, I really like this. This is something I'd love to be really curious to do in my career. And then from there, I applied for the graduate scheme and joined Unilever upon graduating.
So is it all about finding something that you love? Because you obviously thought, oh, I really like doing this. Is it trying to latch on to something that gets you a bit of excitement?
Yeah, I think
throughout these jobs.
I think that's what it's about. I mean, sometimes you hear leaders give advice, though. What are you passionate about? And I've got to say, when I'm fortunate to mentor a number of young people, I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean passionate about? Well, actually, what we're talking about, what gives you energy? What makes you smile? What do you think, oh, wow, that was a really great moment in my day or my week, or I'd love to do more of that. Okay, so then how can I think about some of those things that I really enjoy to then actually go and find some type of career or job that enables me still to use some of those skills or some of the things I make really have the best time with. And so, it's got to bring that positive energy, because, if you can't flip your duvet because you're not excited about it, well, that's not going to be good. So you've got to try and work out, well, what am I really enjoying in my life, or what am I really best at? And then you need to find who can you work with to think that through. It could be a mate, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend, it could be a member of your family. Because quite often, when you ask a young person, well, what are you really great at? They're like, oh, not really good at anything.
We're all good at something, right? Whether it's numbers, whether it's art, whether it's being creative, whether it's problem solving, you just need to find your thing. You went from Bournemouth,
correct, to
Birmingham to Brighton.
Yeah.
That's 3 different places. That must have been a little bit anxious and like a lot of people don't like to come out of their hometown. You obviously, very early on, you moved to 3 locations, all with B, by the way, I noticed. When someone's looking to move town to do a job, what is your advice and how did you cope with that? From going from family home to uni down to Brighton?
Yeah, I think, if I think about those 3 experiences, changing those different towns to live in, well, when you go to the places, you're not just staying in your place where you're living. You're going out there and interacting in the work, you're going out there socially, you're building another community around you. And actually, one of the things of reflecting back that it really helps you to do is to actually build your independence. And actually also helps you take a moment of reflecting, okay, well, I'm going to a new place. What are the type of people I want to be spending my time with? What are the experiences I want to be gaining in those new places? Okay, the world of work is a wonderful way to build, a social network as well as a working network. And I think, being open-minded and really understanding, okay, well, I had some, life experiences until that point. Now I'm going to have some new life experiences. So I joined Unilever on the graduate scheme. I spent 2 years there, lots of different roles. And actually, I've been there a couple of years and I was learning a lot. But I think as you go through your career journey and you're in these different organizations, you're figuring out, okay, is this a place where I can really feel like I really fit? Where I can bring the best version of Adam every day? Where I can really make a difference and I can see that I'm learning and growing? Or does it feel a bit like walking through mud and treacle and I'm not really enjoying it? And, we all know when things feel good and right.
It's the gut feeling,
so,
right?
we feel it. And so for me, it's how do you've got to have that sense and really listen to your head and your heart and say, okay, well, is this working for me or isn't this working for me?
It might be you're not enjoying the role or you want to go and experience something else. You just get up in the morning and you think to yourself, why am I flipping the duvet right now? I'm not motivated, but I obviously have to go in, so I'll go in. If anyone's feeling in that situation right now, how do they get out of that? What do they do?
I think my first advice would be to actually take a moment to reflect on what you can learn from the organisation or the job that you're doing. Because whilst you may not in the exact moment be having like the best time of your life in this role, I hope you dreamt it would be, that first of all, discount the opportunity to learn so many things. You know, how do organizations work? You know, what is an organizational culture? You know, what are the things about it I do like, what are the things I don't like? How do I find working in a team? Do I feel that's something I feel a really good part of? Do I see some people are better at it or not? And what can I learn from the people around me and watch how they're growing and inside the organization? Sometimes the greatest learnings come in those moments. That's what I encourage people to do. But of course, at the same time, you know, there's so many ways now you can go and look for different career opportunities or different job roles within a particular field. So also, you know, throw your network wide, you know, go and be curious, go and speak to someone else, another company in a similar industry perhaps, and see whether or not that might work for you better.
I love what you said, because before you make the decision that it's the company, work out if it's the role first, because you can actually, just by joining the team next to you, could create a whole different kind of atmosphere for you, right? Because they do different things.
So an interesting fact about Mars, the first Mars bar was made in 1932 by hand. And in fact, they remained being made by hand until 1950. Now today, we make over 3 million Mars bars a day.
The purpose of this show is to educate, inspire, motivate young people to get up and go. Get up and go into a job or an hobby or whatever it is, to do something meaningful every day, and that can be different each day. What gets you up to get up and go? What's your purpose? And then what is the purpose of the organisation you run?
Yeah, I think this is something that I kind of spend quite a lot of time reflecting on, and quite often people talk, okay, what's your why? What's your purpose? And it's something, you know, quite deep, but I guess what really matters to you. And, you know, I spent some time reflecting upon that, and my personal purpose is to make it possible for my family, wider community, to have a life full of happiness and make a positive difference in the world. And when you start to think a bit about, okay, well, what's really important to me as an individual, it then also helps you think about, okay, what are the type of organizations that I want to work with, for, what type of people I want to work alongside. And, you know, for me, you know, when I was thinking about joining Mars, I want to understand the purpose of Mars, and at its broadest, across all of the business for Mars, it's all about, you know, the world we want tomorrow starts how we do business today. And in the Mars Wrigley business that I very proudly lead for the UK, you know, it's about inspiring moments of everyday happiness. And so when I think about that purpose and my personal purpose, go, oh yeah, that's like so cool. And it's like a really good match between the two. And then it's about, because sometimes organizations will talk about their purpose, and it's come quite this last decade, most organizations talk about their purpose. But ultimately, so what do you do with that? It's about how you run the business, how you think about your role in community, the societal difference you want to make, how you show up in sustainability. But it's also, particularly if I think about it in Mars, we have these amazing brands that can make a real difference. So if we take Maltesers, which I hear is one of your favourites.
It is, and we've got a packet here, look. And I've got a packet right here that you bought.
By the way, but I don't want to get, interrupt the flow of the conversation.
No, let's do it.
We'll come back to later. I'm going to have mine a bit later.
Okay, you have yours later. I'm going to start eating now because I've not had breakfast.
No, to take Maltesers, we did a campaign around maternal mental health, which was really using the power of the Maltesers brand to have a really powerful conversation to help women who are facing some challenges. And it was an amazing campaign, which we got a brilliant response for. So when you think about purpose, it can be personal, it can be an organization, but it's about how you bring it to life through your brands. And so it's a wonderfully important thing, I believe, is to think about your purpose as an individual, a company's purpose, but then really how you bring those together to make them really live in reality.
How long did it take you to find your purpose and bring? Because you say it so perfectly in sync. I'm like, that's amazing. Not everyone. They use this saying that life begins at 40. And I don't know why that is. Is that because people find their purpose then? Do people find it younger? I feel like I found my purpose in terms of helping 100 million people, 1% of the world, with their goals. That's my plan. And you know what? I might never, ever get there. But if I can just get 10% there, we've done a good job. Do you know what I mean? How do you figure out your purpose? Where do you start? What do you do? How does it all work?
Yeah, well, I think from a personal point of view, it's what gives you energy, what gives you that fire, that drive, that hunger that makes you think, wow, I had an amazing day today. It's trying to think about what are those moments in my day or my week or my month that says, wow, that just felt incredible. Okay, why does that feel incredible? Because that's really important to me. And therefore I really, really, really want to make sure that I stay in that sweet spot and deliver in that area as often as possible. So I think that can be even just a very simple thing to do. Otherwise it sounds quite lofty. And yes, there are templates and questions and ways you can get there, which, you know, can be a great way to get there. But also I think sometimes we have to just keep it very simple in the language we use and just think about, you know, what gives me that fire and energy. The fast-moving consumer goods industry, FMCG, is the most wonderful industry because the range of jobs available is amazing. You could be working anything in research and development to sales, marketing, finance, supply, operations, HR. You could be a marine biologist. You could even be a chocolate taster. So it's the most wonderful industry, and I really encourage all of you to think about your career path in FMCG.
I want to ask you a little bit about Mars as a whole, because I know I love these, but you do a lot more than just chocolate. Tell me a little bit about how the whole organisation operates and some of the jobs that people could do, which they might not think about.
Yes, we have an amazing range of businesses inside Mars. Obviously, you know our Mars snacking business. You're enjoying your Maltesers here this morning. But also we have, you know, many other parts of the business. We have a pet care business, so, you know, brands like Whiskers and Caesars you'll be super familiar with. We have a business with veterinary clinics, which also is a huge part of our business here in the UK. We also have our food business with Ben's Rice and Dormio's, and we're present in so many markets. Throughout the whole world there are Mars businesses that you could follow a career path within, and so I think that's one thing that's magic about the business, all the different pathways you can go down. And then you have the range of jobs that you could do.
One job that really fascinates you across the organisation that people might not get to see it if they type it in on LinkedIn?
One of the projects we have is a coral reef restoration project on our Sheba brand, the Hope Reef. And actually you can go there, and if you're a conservationist and a marine biologist, that could be your office every single day, the Hope Reef. Now that would be a very cool job.
That is cool, isn't it? I want to turn to Maltesers. I want to break it down. Like, people that want to get into work for Mars, like, how does it start? Like, run me through, like, how the marketing works, how it ends up on the shelf. Like, just run me through how this gets in on my kitchen table and I have a bloody great Friday evening.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just going to have one.
Yeah, you enjoy the Maltesers as well. I'll explain a little bit to you, Jack. I think, you know, ultimately, there are so many different job roles that are involved in creating just a simple thing of one pack of Maltesers landing on your supermarket or your local store shelf. Somebody had to invent Maltesers. You know, nearly 70 years ago, someone came and invented Maltesers, and it's incredible that somebody had that idea, saw an opportunity that consumers would love to go and, you know, have a honeycomb scented, wrapped in chocolate, that tastes absolutely incredible. Then they had to think about what they were going to call it. Then they had to decide how they're going to manufacture it. Then they had to decide what type of packaging we could put it in.
So we're creating a new Duvet Flip. Chocolate bar right now,
yeah.
So I've just come up with this idea. It's called Duvet Flip. Yeah, it's a chocolate bar. Yeah. It's a little bit like Maltesers, but long, and you crunch it all at once. I've come to you. I work for you. I come to you, and I've got this idea. So, what would you be saying to me next? Would I have to go into a room and like draw it up with a team of experts? Like, I want to.
No, first I want to understand. You know, why do you think this is a good idea? Who are you targeting with this? What is the gap that you've seen in the market that gives us that opportunity to bring something new in that space that's going to make this innovation a huge success? Have you got some data on that? Have you done some research? Have you spoken to some consumers? Could be your friends you might have spoken to. You said they've always wanted a Duvet Flip chocolate bar that goes crunch. So I think that's where I'd actually want to begin, see where does the idea that gives you the insight that this could be a great new product to launch. And then we can worry about, okay, working on the recipe and the design of it and what exactly name are we going to call it. Then we can go ahead and start to build where do we manufacture this, then we're going to try and go to our retail partners and say, would you take this wonderful Duvet flip bar and put it onto your shelves? And then we'd have to make sure once we've made it, we've got some lorries to ship it there. Then we've got to collect invoicing and all the parts of actually making sure that we close the sale on the product as well. So
wow,
it's a lot to do.
That is a lot to do, but that's also a lot of opportunity if you work for an organisation like Mars, where you could go from coming up with concepts to negotiating retail opportunities.
Yeah, and the job roles are incredible. You could be, perhaps you're a buyer helping to source the actual cocoa that's going to be part of making that chocolate bar. Perhaps you're working to go and find the packaging for it. Perhaps you're working on developing the advertising. Perhaps you're working in sales, going to talk to a customer about it. So the job roles are amazing, and that's why working in consumer goods, working for Mars, there's so many opportunities and so many different skills, but also many different ways you can join the business. One of the things I'm really proud of is our apprenticeship program, and you can join as an apprentice, whether anything from leaving school to even after university as well. And we offer many different routes in our operations, but also in sales, in marketing, in finance. So there's many, many different ways to kind of start a career in Mars and many other businesses. So no matter where you're at or where you are in your education, be curious and think about how you could career. And we've got a great website at careers.mars.com where you can go and find about opportunities and different ways to join, because there are so many job opportunities.
Where does it start? As an apprentice, do you come in and then are you across all businesses and then work out where you fit?
So you're joining a specific team and a specific role, and as part of that you'll get a certain amount of training, and also you can get qualifications. You could even be doing your apprenticeship and also doing a degree program at the same time. And so you're starting to get some real experience. If you're joining in the manufacturing part of the apprenticeship scheme, then you'll be doing a number of different roles. You could be working on our Mars bar line. You could be working in different parts of the factory. And so there's many different routes, but it's trying to give you the skills you need for a particular role, but also the experience of working inside an organisation, being part of a team. And so there'll be a lot of mentoring support that you'll get as well as part of that apprenticeship programme. It's absolutely amazing, and I get to be so inspired by so many apprentices who I'm lucky enough to spend time with, and they're absolutely brilliant, and they come from the most wonderfully different backgrounds. And I think that's really important inside organisations, that we have a really great way of having very diverse backgrounds inside our business, because I'm a real believer in learning from everybody and being curious and trying to understand people's life experiences and what I can learn from that to help as a leader, but also to be as a better organisation. And so the apprenticeship program is a great way also to bring very diverse backgrounds into the organisation as well, which is for me an absolutely critical thing when I look forward in terms of the type of profile of associates we want to have in the business.
What makes a good apprentice? What if I'm coming into the organisation and I'm committed, I'm curious, what are you looking for? What kind of traits and would you want me to have so I can stay on the Malteser team?
Yeah, you really want to be on this Malteser business, don't you?
You know.
So I think, you mentioned a couple there around being curious and being open to learning. I think one important thing for me is about making a difference. Have you owned something? Can you look over your time as an apprentice and say, actually, if Jack wasn't there in the team, that would never have happened? What is the difference that you're making? Because it's really important, whatever job you're in, you've got something you're being famous for. Sometimes people say, I want to leave a legacy. Yes, we'd all love to leave a legacy. And sometimes the word legacy feels like it has to happen over a long period of time. But actually you create many moments where you're making a difference, and you can really be really famous for creating amazing things. So I'd be really looking to see, okay, did that apprentice really do a great job in trying to make something a bit better, to come with a great idea, being creative, being challenging, and actually making a real difference that's going to last beyond the time that the apprentice was there.
What would you say was one of the things that you're famous for?
I guess what I'm really proud about when I look about sort of, my career over those 30 years, we mentioned a little bit earlier on, I'm a real believer in the power of possibilities. I'm a real believer in growing businesses, but most importantly in growing teams and growing individuals. So one of the things that gives me the most pride is actually seeing people that I've worked with, either as peers or who have reported into me, that I've been able to help contribute to their development and also see them thrive and progress further in the organisation. Somebody actually once asked me in an interview, and I actually couldn't answer this question, Jack, and I had to go away and reflect upon it afterwards. Adam, where do you get your ego from? And I said, well, I don't really have an ego because it's not really about me. And I went away some time and actually reflected upon that myself and thought, well, actually I get my ego from seeing others succeed and helping to make a difference. And so I guess, if I look back over my years of work and what's still to come, that probably will give me the most pride. Yes, business success, but more than anything, it's helping others to really make a difference, and kind of goes back to my personal why from a little bit earlier on.
I noticed that straight away when you walked in. You're all about other people. You're all about, like, we had a conversation. You said, how can we make sure that we're giving the right information to the people that are watching so they can win? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just refreshing and lovely to hear you're here today to help all those individuals who may be lost or who may not be lost. They might take one golden nugget away from this conversation today, and we've done our little bit to help. Well, yeah. You've done your bit. I'm just here to asking the questions, eating the Maltesers, but you've done your bit to actually help someone get from A to B, right? What's one life lesson that's really stuck with you in your career that you now use it as your Bible when you pull it out and you go, oh, I remember when this person or this thing happened and I always refer back to this? So one of mine is go from having all the answers to all the questions in everything you do. Because no matter who you're around the table with, if you ask the questions, we get to the answers because there's smarter people around the table to give you the answers.
I think one of the big ones for me is knowing you don't know it all. And sometimes because people think because you're called a general manager or a CEO that you're some sort of superhuman. Where actually the real magic, I believe, is knowing you don't know it all, and is how you actually use all the brilliant people around you to help go figure out where actually we need to solve and how we need to keep growing and accelerating things. And that's probably my big one that I probably have taken away from sort of my years and getting it wrong many years ago to hopefully get it right every day now.
You don't know it all, but keep going, right?
Absolutely.
And my final question is, what's your duvet flip? What gets you out of the bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
Yeah, I mean, so much gets me out of bed every morning to flip the duvet. I mean, I'm super lucky. I get to go and spend my working day at a chocolate factory. I get to work with the most amazing brands every single day. But probably more than anything, it's about the brilliant associates that I get to work with every single day at Mars, the chance I get to work for a company with amazing values, and also get to work for a company that's owned by a family. So I feel very, very fortunate every day to be able to flip my duvet.
Well, I just want to say, Adam, thank you for joining me on the show. Thanks for bringing the Maltesers as well. It's been a delight. I think this has been such an interesting conversation. And I'm going to now spend the afternoon eating loads of chocolate.
It's been great to be here. Thanks, Jack.
John's a total mother lover. He's a full-blown, your time's your own, flexible hours hero. Join the mother lovers. Maltesers. Let's lighten the load for working mums.